Hi guys, Dan here. Welcome to this edition of the Heavens Declare. Today we're going to look at the Passover story, Jesus' 12th Passover. And this is the story where Jesus gets lost in the temple at 12 years old. I'm going to briefly read the narrative to you in Luke chapter 2, so you just get familiar with the story, and then we're going to look at the sign. This is Luke chapter 2, verse 41. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast. And when they had fulfilled the days, as they returned, the child Jesus tarried behind in Jerusalem. And Joseph and his mother knew not of it. But they, supposing him to have been in the company, went a day's journey, and they sought him among their kinsfolk and acquaintance. And when they found him not, they returned back to Jerusalem, seeking him. And it came to pass after 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the doctors, both hearing them and asking them questions. And all that heard him were astonished at his understanding and answers. And when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou thus dealt with us? Behold, thy father and I have sought thee sorrowing. And he said unto them, How is it that ye sought me? Wist ye not that I must be about my father's business? And they understood not the saying which he spoke unto them. And he went down with them and came to Nazareth, and was subject unto them. But his mother kept all these sayings in her heart. Well, that's the story. And as you can see from the narrative, Mary was sorrowing over Jesus. You can imagine 3 days not knowing where your child is. Never mind the Messiah. I've lost God. How panicked would you be knowing that you've lost the Messiah? And so that's what happened. And as we look here on the 12th year, 12 AD, 4-3, this was the day that they actually found him. And this is the Passover day. And as we can see here, Jupiter is weighing really heavily on the shoulder of the Virgin. One of the things we say, an idiom that we usually say is, you have the weight of the world on your shoulders when something is really bothering us. And as you can see here, she literally had the weight of the world, of Jupiter, the king, weighing on her shoulder. Now, the interesting thing to note here is I'm going to scroll over to Aries. And Aries, we see here the sun right under the feet of Aries, shining very brightly. And the narrative tells us that Jesus was astonishing the people at the temple, the scribes and the Pharisees and the people at the temple, the teachers. And so thus he was shining. The Lamb of God was shining about doing his Father's business. And the interesting thing to note here is that 4-3 was the date that this happened, and this was exactly 21 years to the date that he would be crucified. And as you can see here, approximately 12 midday, and this is when Jesus was hanging on the cross, and this very sign that you see here over Aries was happening, except the earth was eclipsing the sun, and the earth looked dark, as you will see in future videos where I show you the crucifixion. The earth gets right here eclipsing the sun, causing a blood moon. But today, 21 years earlier, Jesus is shining very brightly, the Lamb of God. So there you have it, the sign of the Jesus lost in the temple.